And that could be through different courses, that can be through different podcasts or different, you know, like Bob Proctor, listening to different, experts, etc., books you read, but you'll never grow the business beyond what you can grow the owner.
So welcome to a session of Rock Your Money, Rock Your Life podcast. We have the founder and CEO of Seiler Tucker Incorporated, Michelle, with us. Michelle, it is an honor to have. I know you are super busy, and just to have you for a short period of time here to chit chat about business and how to get into business and how to be successful in business is a pleasure. So thanks for joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So what makes it, how did you get into mergers and acquisitions? I always joked with a buddy of mine that that would be a great place to go because it sounds so sexy and so involved. Tell me a little bit about how you got into
It
that.
sounds sexy. There's nothing sexy about it. Everybody thinks it's sexy. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always owned many different businesses. I also got stuck kind of in corporate America working for Xerox, but then I left Xerox, transitioned into franchise sales, franchise development, consulting. And my buyers kept asking me, do you have an existing business? And I said, no, I only have franchises. I was also partners with a franchisor and area developers in many different states. And I said, no, I only have new franchisees. So I kept saying, no, no, no. And I don't like to say no. I like to say yes, yes, yes. So I said, why don't why don't I start an M&A firm? How hard can it be? How much harder can it be to sell existing businesses than it is franchises? So that's how I really started my mergers and acquisitions firm.
That makes a lot of sense. I have two questions for you there. First of all, which franchises did you sell? And then secondly, I want to talk about what was the avatar or the type of person that wanted to buy a system.
I've sold so many franchises. I probably can't even begin to tell you, from Subway to Quiznos to Baskin Robbins to bigger ones, to some franchisors who I've got to remain silent about because it's still proprietary. Um, but yeah, so and then I was a partner with one franchisor, which I'd rather not disclose because I ended up having him buy me out when I didn't want me to, because I realized very quickly that our values did not align.
Okay, and then so what kind of person is buying a franchise? Is it somebody that wants a proven system? Is it somebody that has capital, they're bored? Give us a couple of archetypes.
Sure. So it's for a brand new franchise or even an existing franchise, it's typically somebody leaving corporate America, somebody that's not really entrepreneur, wants a cookie cutter formula, wants training systems. That's typically your buyer of a franchise. And it's also an attorney, a doctor, somebody that's looking for reoccurring, well, not really reoccurring, but additional revenue streams. And that's really a big mistake. I've had so many attorneys and doctor friends of mine call me and say, Michelle, I bought this, smoothie franchise or this ice cream franchise, and employees are not showing up. Everybody's stealing from me. Now I got to leave my law practice to go run this franchise. So my advice is always don't do that. Don't, if you're a lawyer or a doctor, I mean, align with yourself so you can help them add congruent passive revenue streams versus going and buying a franchise where you're dependent upon people.
So this podcast, Rock Your Money, Rock Your Life, was created because I feel like 95% of people don't get the money game right. They, trade time for money. And like you pointed out, you get somebody that has money, the doctors and the lawyers, et cetera, and they think that they can now run this business on the side very easily, but they don't understand the skill set required in order to operate a business: hiring, training, discovering talent, motivating, inspiring, running meetings, holding people accountable, reading financial statements, et cetera. So how could you describe to me somebody that's really good at doing something like that? What are some of the things that they bring to the table?
Well, I think, entrepreneurs like to think that they're good at all that stuff. And everything that you just mentioned, I think they're good at maybe some of that, but they're not always good at all of that. And so I always work with my clients based upon what I call the 6 Ps that I refer to in my book, Exit Rich. And the 6 Ps, really, we really work with an owner to identify their strengths, hire their weaknesses. And the first P in the 6 Ps is people. Hire the right people, have the right people in the right positions, and ask the who question. Who deals with marketing, accounting, legal, manufacturing, transportation, logistics, etc. And the bottom line is, you should never be next to the who. So I work with my clients to really, like I said, focus on their strengths, hire their weaknesses, and create a business that works for them rather than working for it.
Yeah, I love that. I think a lot of young entrepreneurs try to wear all the hats, or they do wear all the hats at the
Even the
beginning.
old entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And then they have trouble training, so they end up hiring the wrong people, then taking the job back and developing a negative attitude that nobody can do it like them.
Yeah,
So
all
maybe
of that is true.
Thank, would you go like to go maybe through the 6 Ps that might be valuable for the listeners?
Sure. So the first P we just talked about is people. One of the number one reasons, Steve Forbes says that 80% of businesses won't sell. So 8 out of 10 businesses don't sell. And the number one reason for that is because business owners really haven't planned their exit. They don't think about selling until a catastrophic event occurs, whether that's health issues, divorce, partner disputes, death, or COVID. And that's the worst time to sell your company because that's when your business is typically trending down, not up. So we do work with our clients to develop what I call the GPS exit model that we talk about extensively in Exit Rich. And then once we get them to plan that GPS exit model, then we work with them to build the 6 Ps. So the number one P is people. The second reason that businesses don't sell is because the business is 1,000% dependent upon the owner. I had a dentist that came to me a couple months ago and wants to sell his dental practice. Been in business 45 years. One dentist, 3 hygienists. And I said, well, we can sell your business, but we're going to tie the price. The price is going to be attached to you staying for at least 2 to 3 years. And he said, Michelle, I'm not staying. I'm tired. I'm burned out. And I'm like, well, too bad. Because when you leave, the patients leave. And if you're not willing to stay, there's nothing to sell. So people is number one. Number two is product. Product is your industry, your service. You got to ask yourself, is your industry product on the way up or on the way out? Is it thriving or dying? Do you have a Amazon or a Blockbuster? And unfortunately, many industries that were thriving are now dying because of the pandemic, and then vice versa. So even if you're in a dying industry, that doesn't mean you just pack up, go home, and curl up into a fetal position. That means that you really got to align yourself with an expert, rather it be you, Rock, or rather it be me, and really ask those transformational questions. Amazon did this back in the 90s. Amazon asked themselves, what business are we in? And I said, oh, we're in a book selling business. And then they asked themselves, what did we do really, really well, better than anybody else? And they said, we do fulfillment really well. And then the third question, the most obvious question, is what business should you be in? And Amazon said, oh, ding, ding, ding. We should be in the fulfillment business. Those 3 transformational questions is what really transformed Amazon from a small bookseller to a multi-billion-dollar worldwide conglomerate that they are today. So business owners have to get out of the transactional and really start becoming transformational. That's why they really need to work on their business instead of in their business, because it's only when you're transformational is when you can see true growth.
Beautiful, beautiful. Keep on going. This is awesome stuff.
And then the third P is processes. So processes are kind of like exit strategy. Most business owners don't think about an exit strategy or processes until something bad happens. We're selling a manufacturing plant and one of the employees got hurt on the floor. It's a catastrophic event. So there's lawsuits piling up. He's probably going to end up filing bankruptcy. And it's not going to be sellable. And he said, Michelle, we need a health and safety process. And I go, you think? You really needed that before this happened. So processes really need to be designed from day one of buying or starting a business. And Rock, most business owners get this wrong. Most business owners design their processes around their own agenda, not around the customer experience. I'll give you an example. Chiropractors, and I'm not picking on chiropractors. My husband's a chiropractor, but chiropractors, they always, their schedule's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 11. Then they're closed from 11 to 3. Then they're back from 3 to 5. And Tuesday's this and nobody can keep up, right? Because they didn't really design their processes, their hours around the customer experience. They designed it around their own agenda. So McDonald's back in the 40s, did you ever watch the movie The Founder?
Yes, loved it.
Great movie, right?
Totally.
So back in the 40s, 50s, remember they had all the Sonic type drive ups, and McDonald's said we want to improve fast food, so we want to design processes around our customer experience. We want our customers to get great tasting food that's hot, fast, right? And they went to the tennis courts. Do you remember that? They took the
Yeah,
employees to the tennis courts. They drew out the processes with chalk. They kept bumping into each other.
right.
And it took them all day to figure out, who's going to take the order, who's going to toast the buns, cook the burgers. You can eat at McDonald's anywhere in the world and get the exact same experience. They never said it was going to be healthy. They never said it was going to be organic. So that's what business owners need to do. Have you ever dealt with a business where you had to talk to 5, 6, 7 different people to get your problem resolved? And you're
Yes.
like, oh, I never do business with them again. So business owners need to get this right. They got to design the processes around the customer experience. If you get this wrong and you're not creating what I call wow experiences for your clients, your competitors will. And then your processes should be efficient, productive, and most importantly, well documented. I can't even begin to tell you, like right now, we're selling a business in the $50 million range. Their processes and policy procedure manuals are so outdated. So you want to make sure they're updating. You want to make sure you have SOP checklists, employee handbooks, non-competes, employee contracts. You got to paper everything, you got to get all that data out of the business owner's head onto into the processes, into, the CRM, different software, etc. The last P, not the last P,
Time
we're
out.
not there yet. Yep.
Time out for
Yep.
a second. Too many good things there. Let's not rush through this. Hold on a second.
Okay.
So this process is part, and I work a lot with entrepreneurs and people that are, the small little business where they've got 1 or 2 or 3 people working with them. They're still wearing a lot of hats. They haven't documented anything. They want to scale. They think they're ready. And then we have a conversation around everything you're talking about, and they're like resisting it. They don't value it the way you're talking about it.
Yeah.
So help me, because I struggle with communicating that to people. They're like, well, and so I explain it like this, and tell me if it resonates with you is, okay, you're still the director of sales. You're still out there doing sales. I got that. You're still, HR, hiring people. I get that. Now there's a thing called a hat, the CEO hat. You're not wearing that hat. You're not coming out and working on the processes because you're so much in the weeds. You've got to spend 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week building those systems, documenting things, but they keep on putting it off. How do you handle that?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And have you ever watched The Prophet with Marcus Lemonis?
I have not, but I'm going to put it
So
on my
you should watch that because Marcus Lemonis always butts heads with the owners. Just what you said, he tells them what to do, what they should be doing, that they should be the CEO, that they shouldn't be doing this, they should be doing that, and they're always butting heads with him. Always butting heads. They never listen to him. And I've had the same problem sometimes. I partner with business owners. I don't just sell businesses. I invest
Right.
money, time, energy, and partner with business owners. And what I have found throughout the years, there's a couple things here, but what I have found throughout the years is that you can only grow the owner. You can only grow the business as much as you can grow the owner.
Yes.
You have to grow the owner. And that could be through different courses. That can be through different podcasts, through different, like Bob Proctor, listening to different, experts, etc., books you read. But you'll never grow the business beyond what you can grow the owner.